Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, a returning guest. His name is Andrew, and he operates the 6G podcast. And our last show, we talked about the dark history of Fort Bragg. Very popular episode. A lot of comments. A lot of people talked to me about other bases. There was one in Alabama, I think, like another base. And so, like, I got a lot of feedback and comments and things like that on that episode. And when we were done with that episode, Andrew was talking to me about his research into Yarvin, who I've heard a lot about. I haven't done a research. I tried to do a lot recently. I've had kind of a busy personal life, but did a lot of reading and overlap with Nick Land and things like that. But that was our last show was Fort Bragg. And then we also talked about what is the 6G agenda. So it's not 5G, it's 6G. Check that out. You can check that out on my show or his podcast. He's done a lot of stuff like that. We also talked about global elite satanic pedo rings, which is really something you shouldn't believe is real, but it's real. Like we're actually going through all this stuff now. It's really incredible. But again, today, if you're watching this on one of my recovered YouTube channels, so I have 3 YouTube channels. The fourth I haven't gotten back. If you're watching this on one of those 3 or X or Rumble, or it's being restreamed on Andrew's stuff, you'll see this picture of Curtis Yarvin, and the title is Curtis Yarvin's Plot Against America. It's from, I think it was from a New Yorker article of this year in June, but the subheader is The Reactionary Bloggers Call for a Monarch to Rule the Country. Once seemed like a joke. Now the right is ready to bend the knee. And it's actually kind of strange overlaps with Trump's messianic imagery and all the techno or technates or oligarchs, tech oligarchs that surround Trump and supported Trump. Well, really, Vance has to be seen as one of them. He was really a kind of wonderkind for Peter Thiel and Andreessen, and obviously Elon Musk. And they say kind of dark MAGA. So there's these weird overlaps and a lot of interesting philosophy. Some that certainly was fringe, but it can't be considered fringe now. But Andrew can talk more about that. So, Andrew, welcome back to the show.
Hey, very excited to be on. Thank you, William. Yeah, super excited to talk about Curtis Yarvin. It's definitely something that blew my mind whenever I first started reading about this. This is something that wasn't really presented to me from a podcaster or somebody else. This is something I kind of found, and then I started hearing other people start talking about it. But I found it by accident, just looking at something called Patchwork by Mencius Moldbug, and yeah, I mean, there's
That's his
some.
pseudonym. That's Yarvin's
Yes.
pseudonym right now.
Yes, that's him, Curtis Yarvin. And so that's whenever, after that just snowballed. So yeah, super excited to talk about this, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So for people, maybe you can just talk about the over what you've worked on in 6G, then
Yeah.
leading to Yarvin, and who. Just simple questions. Who's Curtis Yarvin, and why do people find him interesting?
Yeah, so on 6G Agenda, we focus a lot on um, kind of Mystery Babylon, but the modern version. So Mystery Babylon kind of is old Babylonian mystery schools, the way of manipulating the mind, deception, etc. And I think that they, as the great Sam Tripoli says, they've hardwired mysticism, and that's what we're looking at today. So I kind of bring all that with some details, just kind of we could talk about everything really. So everything encompassing that, which it happens to encompass everything. So it's pretty wild stuff. But Curtis Yarvin himself, he had written a book because I had saw that somebody like Peter Thiel, who I'd been reading about, Palantir, real kind of big on building this. Palantir was total information awareness for those who don't know, which was a part of kind of the Patriot Act, came out of that. And so as that's been progressing, he kind of took that over, and I learned that he was, using young people's blood to try to be younger. Very odd kind of guy. And he works with Alex Karp, who's a psychopath who talks about spraying fentanyl laced urine on people from drones that pissed him off. And so these kind of people just pop up, and I'm like, hearing that they're into Curtis Yarvin, I look him up, and it just kind of goes from there. So it seems that it's a whole network of people that have this ideology, and what they're doing is they're trying to change the attitudes and minds of America as we see now. And I think that they even use radical leftism even as a weapon to let that proliferate so they could then serve us this kind of answer. You know what I'm saying? So this is the kind of problem reaction solution. I believe it's coming from the right, and I think that we got to watch for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So they don't have a problem using the left to facilitate changes in the right, which
Yes.
is these doctrines. These guys started out kind of as bloggers. Mencius Moldbug, I think he was, and so he kind of came from kind of an underground perspective. And I tried to read up on some of his stuff, like I have some notes, but he had these different kind of ideas, like his intellectual genealogy. Like he has these concepts that, like this idea of the cathedral, which is our current kind of system, like he wants to replace that with his dark enlightenment, right? So it's like
Yes.
the old progressivism. He wants to get rid of it, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, and he, gets a lot of his philosophy from a man named Hans Hermann Hoppe, Hoppe, Hope, and he wrote a book called Democracy, The God That Failed. And so in this book, it talks about exactly what you were saying, where this kind of leftist or liberal values actually makes us think in short term and not long term, and so it leads to consumerism and therefore the downgrading of culture, etc. And, on its face, it can sound okay, but whenever you get deeper into it, the answer they serve up is a monarchy.
Right. It's some kind of like this. So it's like they actually have, I think his opinions are that the Enlightenment was kind of a mistake. Like they don't think that this whole thing of this philosophs and all these things, like he's
Well, it's
uh,
kind of more in the sense that they think that it's dumb that the leftists view it as that the Enlightenment was where the thinking started.
right.
They base a lot of their values in Rome and before then. So, he points to the five great emperors and said that was some of the best, civilization we've ever had, right? So this is pre that. It's back before the Enlightenment. So they look before the Enlightenment and say, actually, the Enlightenment doesn't mean anything. That's just the reset from the Catholic Church. But look before that. That's because they're saying that pretty much Catholicism built Western society, and that's why we think that after the Dark Ages, we didn't know anything before then. When in reality, there was a lot of deep knowledge before then, which is true. So I do agree with that sentiment.
Right, but it is pretty remarkable that the that's the way they think. Like they just like discount a lot of this advancing and understanding and everything like that. They just think it's
Mhm.
all kind of straw and everything. And they're very I would say they're not I would say they're not anarchists. They want to get rid of almost all the government. Like they're beyond anarchy or the anarchists where there's less government. They like want to retire all government agent, the whole government. Do you ever hear
Well, it
that?
needs
Did
to
you
be
get that?
one central thing, a
Okay.
CEO that runs it all top down, right? So he points to Elon Musk and how he essentially has created a new NASA more efficiently because it's just him. And he points to people like at Silicon Valley, these CEO people, and says each of them run their corporation like a monarchy. And look at how quick and efficient they get things done. So his argument is the efficiency we would gain in America if we let these, just one person top down. Now, little sidestep here. Did you see the bill that Trump just signed yesterday?
No, tell me about it.
So he signed a bill called the Genesis Mission, which is pretty much let me get to it. It's a new AI initiative. So he signed it over, and the goal is to create a national integrated AI platform. And it uses government scientific data, discovery in science, energy, national security, all that. But what they're doing here is they're centralizing all science, everything into one area, like one pillar of knowledge. And actually, they tier it to where the public can read some stuff like research, but everything that has to do, they tier what kind of information you will be available to have. And so it's very odd. They're rebuilding the way that these different departments work. That's the point of Doge, where they kind of put the IRS, the DOD, or the SSI, all that stuff under Palantir's umbrella. Whereas before, there were multiple organizations within the government. So it's unprecedented stuff. I mean, the HHS now with your IRS, so your tax information, your health information, your social security information, all is going to be under one umbrella now. That was never a thing. So that's is a problem.
Yeah, I would say that's a real problem. More
Yes.
centralized information. That sounds like a nightmare.
And
That
that's what's
sounds like
going
a
on. It's
beast system.
centralization of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Wow.
So that
27.
leads to what Curtis Yarvin's trying to do. I think that everything Trump is doing is leading towards what he wants, and you know,
So the philosophy of Yarvin is now filtering over into real world policy, right?
yeah,
That's what this whole Genesis, and it's a mission. This isn't a program. This is like a mission to
hmm
Mars or a mission to the moon
yes,
or something. Like the language is, I think, very telling.
yeah, and they
Genesis
just
mission.
started up. I'm sorry, they just started
Well,
something called Project Athena at NASA too that ties into this, where it's the same thing. We want to up, we need to get going on um, getting into space and all this different technology. I think it's weird that it coincides with this disclosure that's going on with this documentary and all this stuff about UFOs. I think they want to cover up the fact that they do have this technology and kind of do this odd thing where, oh, we've been reversing it, but they're centralizing all the information now. It's a very weird shift.
wow, that's really wild. Trump's NASA pick. There it is too. So
And that guy right there, he was supposed to take over NASA in the beginning of Trump's presidency this coming year that just started. And it was Elon's pick. They ended up going with a different guy. Now he just put him in. And now they just started Project Athena right when they put him in the same week. And so it's pretty telling where it's coming from, right? Dark MAGA.
right, it's this dark enlightenment, dark MAGA stuff. Yarvin.
Mhm.
Wow, it's pretty wild.
Athena, Genesis. What's up with the names?
Yeah,
Athena
yeah.
is Venus, right? That's who they worship, the mother, the mother goddess, right? The whole deal with these mystery schools. Gets right
Mhm.
into that.
Genesis is kind of like a Star Trek reference too. They like Star Trek and Lord of the Rings references, but if you remember the Wrath of Khan movie, uh, the project to reformat those planets was called Project Genesis. Remember that? Might be before
Yeah.
your time, but it's kind of a vague. The Wrath of Khan. I forgot who the actor was. He was fantastic as Khan. He was so good.
Well,
Um,
I think it's kind of weird. I know seems a little off, but when you kind of add this in, so there was just at the pyramids of Giza. I know you probably don't know who Travis Scott. Well, you probably know who Travis Scott is. He
yeah,
was gonna do a
Astro World.
show.
Astro World.
Yeah. He was supposed to do a show at the pyramids of Giza, and they said no because it was against their values and because the Astro World situation had already occurred. Well, very recently, they had somebody called Quantum DJ at the pyramids of Giza do a show called Genesis, or the end of Genesis is what it was called, actually. It was called the end of Genesis, and it had a robot. It was like a hologram. It was a robot busting out of this glass, like it was trying to get out, right? And then be unleashed. This stuff going on is just very odd to me. There's a lot of this. I just think that, they're trying to manifest the change. Like you look at with the order of 9 angles, bring the a causal out of the right. So
The causal from the acausal. Yeah,
exactly.
it's a lot
Yes.
of that stuff. And the Dark Imperium, like we were talking in the pre-show, that one of these inspirational guys, Land, who has been called by Dugan a flat-out Satanist. I'm not saying it, but Dugan is saying that. Land published something called the Dark Enlightenment through a press called Imperium Press. And if you read my book from 2021, kind of precedes a lot of this stuff. Like I write about the Order of Nine Angle and their idea of the Dark Imperium and Homo Galacticus, which is what these people kind of are either rhyming or outright putting in, where the men are going to be seated all throughout the solar system.
I mean, what
And
what
to be
what would you
different
call
classes
it?
of humans. Yeah,
That's what all this is focused on, is getting us out there. You look at Elon and all he talks about and his way of having children too. That's very odd, right?
yeah, yeah.
And then you think about the space book that was written by Bill, I think it was Bill Barr or Donald
Oh,
Barr,
right. Yeah.
who wrote the
Did
book.
yes,
That's
Dad.
all
Yeah.
about what you're talking about, right?
Wow.
It
Right.
seems to all tie in together with these are the same people.
This is kind of like their agenda. They don't. I don't think that Musk talks a lot about Christianity. None of them really talk about. Well, I guess Teal talks about the Antichrist, right?
hmm
But they're not
Oh,
really
yeah.
Christians in their mentality. They're
No,
like
but
Christ consciousness stuff. Yeah.
Teal was very close with a man from Opus Dei.
What was his
Oh,
name? Do you remember?
hold on. Opus Dei priest Teal. it'll come right up because they were good friends. Here it is. So these two befriended each other. Who is this guy? Okay, Father Arne, Arne Panula. Arne Panula. And so there's a few articles about it, but essentially Opus Dei, we're talking about like the Da Vinci Code where he whips himself in the back,
Right.
that super culty Catholic. That's what we're looking at.
Right. The Opus Dei, I think they're initiated. So I think it's not an occult initiation, but they are initiated to like really hardcore loyalty to the Catholic Church, almost kind of like the Jesuits, like the church. There's no right
Yeah.
or wrong. Whatever they
But when
tell
you
you,
look,
you do.
yeah, when you look up their practices, though, they do a lot of self-mutilation, punishment, things like that as well. It's very weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Flagellation, and they have what they call a garter, and it's not like a woman's garter or like a girl in the burlesque who puts this flowery ribbon around her leg. They put a steel thing around their thigh and then dig it into the skin so they remember. It's like it's a sign of ownership.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
actually an order of the garter in the kind of in the English aristocracy, and that's the same thing. It's a very loyal, like they take it very seriously. They're very, very serious about that stuff.
I think it's freaky though that when you really think about it, was it that correct? Was Dan Brown that right? Where he's pointing out that this is the order that's kind of operating in the shadows, like, and then now you see these people with this. First of all, look at Nick Fuentes, this rise of the Catholic, this
Right, good point.
national Christianity, this nationalism, but America's Christian. No, America has the freedom of religion. As a matter of fact, the people who started America hated Christianity because of them being persecuted by Christians, or more Catholics than Christians. But either way, you see what I mean? So the freedom of your practice was more important to them. So now we see this kind of rising up from the right. And I think that it could be possible that he was that correct.
Yeah, it's wild. So this guy Panula literally lived with the guy who founded Opus Dei, Saint Jose Maria Escriva. Wow.
That's
That's a
crazy. So he comes from the beginning. I believe he was in like World War II as well.
the social teaching of the Catholic Church. It survived. Oh, I guess he passed away. So he
Yeah, he
passed
was
away
like
in
90,
2017.
92, I think.
Wow. So these are strange. I mean, this is like another thing of Teal is like his closeness to a lot of these ideologies, but also the secret society elements in Catholic Church. Um, what's the other one he's in? He was actually the head of it. I think he was the head of what's the one that's like had all the ex-Nazis in it and all the elite of Europe.
Teal?
Yeah, Teal.
Are you talking
He
about
was,
Peter Thiel?
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't recall.
yeah.
He
He was
calls himself like a Gnostic Christian. I don't know what that's put. I mean,
right.
Gnostic Christian to me is like,
Contradiction in terms.
yeah.
I don't think Christianity is Gnostic. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
They were
That or like
fighting
an
against
esoteric Christian.
Gnosticism.
And an esoteric Christian, calling yourself that, I mean, that's pretty telling as well.
What's the one by? Oh, geez, I can't even believe I'm forgetting this. Somebody in the chat knows. He was
Is it
the head.
Malay or something?
No, he was. It's the.
Like the dude.
Let's see. Somebody in the chat. Somebody tell me. Isn't Dugan a Satanist? I don't know. Yeah, but Teal was in kind of like they call it the one that Henry Kissinger was in.
CFR? I'm trying to think. Once you say it, I'm gonna be like, wow, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, it's not the Bohemian Grove.
Is it the one for kids or whatever, where it's like the
Bilderberg Group? He's part of the Bilderberg Group.
Oh, yeah. He definitely is.
It's only 120, 150 people, but Teal is part of that. You don't know what these guys are doing behind everything, too.
No, not at all. I mean, outwardly, he's injecting young people's blood into himself, and he's investing a lot of money in living forever, right? So
why did these guys who do all that stuff look like ghouls? Because there's that one guy who wants to like live forever. He looks like he needs to go out and get some sun or something. Like he doesn't look healthy to me.
I think you wear your deeds eventually, no matter what you do. I think eventually, like what you do, the way you think and the way you act and feel kind of does come out of you. I don't know. I just have this feeling.
Teal employed Yarvin up until 2014. So he was on the payroll, one of his little like projects, one of Teal's many projects, which I've gone into Teal with John Brisson, and like Teal has seeded his. I mean, he's a brilliant guy,
Mm.
but he's like seeded his startup thing. I guess Yarvin was one of them. But
So yeah,
yeah,
they're all a part of the dark enlightenment. You know,
right.
modern democracy is a failed operating system. We need to get in a what I'm scared about is not scared, but like what I kind of see coming, it seems, is, you know, we talked about it recently, was you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
I'm familiar with it.
It's kind of like, you know, that police state, but theocratic, right? And so that's kind of a version, a weird version of that, without the women focused on the, you know, having the baby. I feel like the weird version of that system is kind of what they're gearing for, but total control, you know, and they're going to sell it with the morality of a religion, right? So that way you feel like there's morals and principles. It's not just some dictator ruling over you and you have to go by the whim of whoever runs it. They're going to sell it with some kind of established principled value within the AI system that they sell you. I think that that's kind of what they're gearing towards.
Wow. And they have this whole idea of like the corporate state, like as a capitalist kind of functioning thing, is an optimal is optimal more than a democratically elected group of people. Just like you said about Musk, like
Yeah.
Musk's model of like running the government thing, which is really radically different than the Enlightenment principles that informed the United States. 250
It's
years ago.
weird. It's weird because he calls his company X, which means 10. And then whenever you look at Werner von Braun's book, he says Elon will take us to Mars. Again, getting into this whole seeding the stars, you know, this
Right.
accelerationism coming from a guy who was a Nazi. So you get back into that alt-right neo-Nazism. And he says it will be ruled by a League of 10.
So do you think his parents are in the know to the stuff that his mom, who seems to be kind of like an occulted witch,
I
that's
mean,
how he
yeah,
got the name Elon? Like it's kind of a strange
yeah.
name.
She reminds me of the lady that runs around with like ASAP Rocky and all them, the one that's married to
Yeah, I know who you're
the
talking about.
designer dude.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
she reminds me of her, like the
She's
Marina
like,
Abramovich, you know,
yeah, yeah.
all those types.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would make total sense that he's kind of like this kind of new age. He grew up in a new age environment or something like that. It would make
Everybody
sense.
just forgets about the Halloween costume. They're like, "Oh, it's Halloween." When has the
Yeah,
demonology in Halloween been normalized? Because I guess what it's been maybe the past 15, 20 years, but before that, it wasn't just all demons and, you know, where it was just okay to walk around like like you're literally Satan, you know?
right. Yeah, no, it's really incredible. So these guys are thinking on these terms. They really are. And I think that it benefits them in their own outlook of themselves because that's how they run their little mini empires, right? They're running it
Mhm.
because they think they're the smartest. It does kind of reflect the ideology, the very complex and very smart ideology of the O9A,
It
which
makes
is
sense why that's on the internet too, because
yeah.
these guys, you know, it's that type of personality where they're all, you know, internet guys, you know?
And it over O9A comes out of it's really a neo-Nazi thing, the ideology. They're really racist and classist, but also anti-Christian. So the Nazarenes, that would include Jews and Christians, are the kind of bad guys. They're the ones holding up humanity, keeping us. They literally think that certain parts of humanity are keeping the other parts from going to the stars. So they view them as like they're Homo galacticus, and then there's Homo horribilis or the mundanes or these,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah, very much Nazi-like.
yeah, it's this us versus them. There's the kind of the Ubermensch and the Untermensch
But
kind
then
of
we get to
mentality.
like, what is Nazi, right? If he was propped up by the Rothschilds, who we know were like probably the Orsini's. I mean, who know, you know, going back to the Babylonian cabal of like original families.
Right,
If that's the case, it makes sense that this is the ideology they would have. It's that Atlantean,
right.
Babylonian style kind of thinking.
Yeah, theirs was it wasn't just Atlant. Well, it kind of is. The other one is the Hyperborea or whatever. Like
Mm,
they literally had some of these ideas of like civilizational culture outside of Christianity. Time was different,
mhm.
and this kind of dark enlightenment kind of apes or rhymes with the whole concept of the sun and rod, this kind of black sun, which is a very dark view that these dark magi or whatever are the ones pushing society forward through their violence and blood and things like that. Like
Wow.
that's what Himmler believed, and they overlap with Opus Dei and Knights of
Mhm.
Malta and all this other kind of like things with a lot of regalia and things like that. So it's pretty wild.
And that's why I always think, like, as much as it may sound beautiful that, you can attain enlightenment, I still can't get with any of the mystery school style, mystery Babylon style ideology, because all of it traces, like, if the same kind of universal law applies to enlightenment as it implies to sacrificial, killing of whatever, I'm good on both of them. I'm just not going to partake, like, even if I don't care about it could be used for good or bad. Yeah, I'm not going to manipulate nature's, essence for my own will. I'm just not going to do that. But
Right.
that's ultimately what it is. You know what's funny? Speaking of Mithras and thinking of the Romans and everything, whenever the Romans landed in Oxford in England, they actually put like a Mithras statue to him,
Hmm.
and that's where Oxford University got built later.
Wild. That's
Yeah,
wild. I'm
just
not
kind of was thinking.
surprised. They
Hmm.
went all the way up to Hadrian's Wall, right? So Hadrian was the one, kind of the final emperor who like destroyed Israel and all that stuff. And his ideal kid, he was homosexual, and his ideal lover was that guy Antinous, right? So that, I mean,
Mm.
who's a model for all those people all the way to today. But they like these ideas of the empire, like just like Fuentes has got to be absorbing some of the stuff because he loves the Roman Empire. And these guys like
Yeah.
Singapore as a model, so it's like that one guy, Kwok Lee, a really amazing guy who literally created this whole thriving civilization on nothing, like literally like a swamp. And
Yeah.
so that's another alt right kind of view. Like, we're going to run this thing better than having democracy because democracy is chaos. Look at the chaos that comes out of our political system, all the
Yeah, it gets in the way of getting things done, right? So that's the idea. It gets in the way of us getting stuff done. And we have to answer to all these people, these underlings, and
right.
let's just make it quicker, you know?
And that's kind of like the tech model, right? The tech guys is like we can just make our own, little fiefdom with our tech company and make the money and kind of issue diktats and guide everything to prosperity and to a certain extent. So you could
Mhm.
see why all these guys, Andreessen, Musk, Teal, Vance, have that kind of mentality. Like it overlaps. It overlaps with what they're thinking.
It's spreading. Yep. Yeah, so where do you wanna
Yarvin,
go next with it? We could talk about, Hans Hermann Hoppe,
yeah,
with
let's do it.
the origins of, kind of Curtis Yarvin's ideologies.
Yeah, let's do it.
So he kinda taught about democracy and all the downfalls of it, and his answer was a monarchy, but he did mention, like, owning private property still, things like that, so it's kind of an odd version of monarchy. I argue that Curtis Yarvin just kinda cherry-picked and was like, "Yeah, I'm good with your solution. I'm just gonna take your argument for why democracy is bad and leave the rest." But essentially, he just argues higher taxes, more war, more regulation, cultural decay, and short-term political thinking, and loss of property rights eventually. And so, but that part isn't as important to Curtis Yarvin. I never hear him talk about property rights. He talks about how everything will be owned and you'll be owned as well. And that he argues the rest of it will be better as well. And I think that there is something to say about over democratizing and over statism. Yeah, you are going to have too many wars and taxes and regulation. I agree with that. I'm more of a constitutionalist myself, but besides the point, um, he just kind of cherry picks this guy's ideas of why democracy just doesn't work for us. And he doesn't argue for a monarchy as a good system, just that it's the lesser evil.
Right. Interesting.
But yeah,
Uh,
so yeah, that's pretty much most of it. But it kind of gets into the whole, deep, muddy waters of politics. But essentially, that's kind of the nutshell of what he's saying is that, and I could kind of agree with a bunch of it. But again, it's always the answer they want to sell you that it's usually the issue.
And what's the answer? Is to get rid of our current
The
liberal
answer is
democracy?
dark. Yep, dark enlightenment
Dark and
patchwork
light.
system. And so that
Okay.
would be like the technate, right? Where
Right.
Trump recently kind of jokingly talked about getting Canada and Greenland. That would be technate, which if you look at the technocratic political movement that started with among Elon Musk's grandpa and others, they had a vision of how the countries would look, and they did have Canada, America, and Greenland as one kind of area called the technate. And now, Trump was kind of joking about doing that. I think it's crazy that he went that far because I think that that is too outwardly known. Like, yeah, people may not know about Yarvin or this idea that's kind of coming up with the dark enlightenment, but people know, a good amount of people know, even just regular political people, the whole technocratic technate thing. That's kind of crazy to go that next level and kind of tease it doing something like that because it's a dog whistle, is what I'm saying.
Right. He's putting that meme or that idea into the consciousness. Like
Yes.
Donnie Jr. flew to Greenland. Like I saw the video of it. They flew there right when Don got back into the White House. Like they literally scoped it out. I mean, it's a huge piece of real estate with only like 50,000 residents. It's nothing.
Hmm.
So they're thinking on a different level, especially like Venezuela and all this other
Yes.
stuff, expansion and reformatting and Gulf
Yeah,
of
no, yeah,
America and
and
stuff.
it's selling nationalism, but
Yeah,
really your actions are globalism, you know?
yeah,
I'm helping our farmers, but or our cattle farmers, but I'm gonna go buy meat from Argentina.
right.
Well, that doesn't make sense. How are you helping our farmers? I'm helping our farmers, but soybeans now are getting boycotted by, China here, and they're gonna go to Argentina. So now the same country is getting all that money, and we're getting screwed. But, he's helping us.
Yeah, well, that's what he's saying. He's saying he's helping
Right.
us, right?
Right.
I mean, we talk about Nick Land. What's the connection between Yarvin and Land? That's where it gets into real occultism. Yeah.
So I know that there was some mention of Curtis and the Dark Elf. I think that most of Curtis Yarvin, I think that he's very political minded. He has parents who worked in the feds. They were DC workers. He pretty much grew up in DC. So it's that kind of life, WASP kind of life. And I think that he was just naturally into politics, but I think it's mixed with exactly what you talk the best about, Nick Land's ideology and this whole philosophy of this dark enlightenment and what kind of permeates through the order of the nine angles 764 where you just kind of see it all through the internet. I think that's not by mistake, and I think that he's a guy who's kind of mixing the two, very into politics and also believes in all these ideologies. And I think it's taken hold with a lot of people because it's very close to what Freemasonry is, which is that there is certain people that are made to think better than others, and that those people have a divine right to rule over the others because they choose not to use their own intellect. And so I think that this is a darker version because as you get into like with the smiley face killings, could that be that they're doing dark eugenics, right? Could that be what that is? If it
Yes.
is, it's way worse than regular eugenics, right? So it's this dark enlightenment, this MAGA, this dark eugenics. I believe that that's coming from the same place, and that's the ideology we're looking at.
Yeah. So it's the same as Curtis Yarvin. So it's anti-democratic. Kind of. They're not explicitly racist in their work. They use more benign terms is a way I would put it.
Oh, it
But
could be
they,
white
yeah,
people, black people, yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah.
people that
Just
don't
the
use
better
their
people.
intellect.
Yeah, yeah. They're
There's people
smarter.
who know how to think. There's people that get overwhelmed whenever they need to use their reasoning faculties, and those people should be led like sheep to slaughter because they're beast of burden by their own choice because they choose not to use their intellect. Now, this gets into why is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, Novus, New World Order on your dollar bill? Because everybody's got a dollar bill,
They
right?
sure do.
Everybody's got a dollar. So, yeah, we could bring it up. Everybody has a dollar. So therefore, nobody can argue that they didn't see that symbol and that they didn't have the chance to see that there is this society kind of going on. Now that kind of concept permeates most things we see. They put it in front of your face and you choose not to do anything about it or use your intellect. So that's not their fault.
Right.
A
I
lot
mean,
of people kind of
it's
talk about. No, I'm sorry.
do you know that every federal building in the United States has the picture of this seal on it, like somewhere on it? Like they're tagged with this symbol. So when you walk in, either going to the elevators or something, the
Hmm.
Great Seal is in there. Like it's incredible. You see
Yep.
this, yeah, it permeates all over the place. It's like a magical totem or something. Yeah,
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 it definitely is the all seeing eye of Horus, right? Well, it's the
yeah.
capstone. It's the capstone. That's important as well. And but kind of funny side note. So Erica Kirk's grandpa worked at ABC Note, which is the company that prints our dollar bills, right?
Wow. Wow.
So it kind of gets weird because her mother, who did work with Israel and their military, also did, like, I guess had a company that made money with Raytheon, Boeing, all these companies. Well, these companies happen to be the ones to make money off 9/11, obviously, right?
Right.
Well, what is on the dollar bills now? And I looked this up. 1999, they changed the dollar bill, all the bills. Have you seen how they look like the towers are on fire and they're falling if you
Yes,
look
I've
at the
seen that.
fives?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was not possible to do before 1999. So they changed it about 3 years before 9/11. Maybe it was 97, 93. Either way, about 3 to 5 to 10 years, whatever, right before in that time range, before 9/11, they changed the picture of the way that they were looking at the White House. Instead of looking at the west side, they looked at the east side or something, which then changed the landscape, the grass, which made it possible for people to see the Twin Towers on fire on those bills, right? Now, I don't know what that even means, but that's just a weird connection with him working with the bill notes, her working with Israel. They all benefit off the war at 9/11. There's that 9/11 being printed on the bills. It's weird. And then the whole thing, and then, I look at Trump as the 9/11 president who's here to finish what the Patriot Act and 9/11 started. And that is bringing about that new world government that we kind of, one world order, whatever you want to call it, that we talk about.
He certainly isn't acting like a guy who wants to fulfill anything he said when he was running for president. That's for sure. Like I
No.
just did a show last night, where, like talking about Albert Bourla, like popping out, and he hasn't stopped the wars. He's like trying to start a new war with Venezuela. Like, whoa, this is not the will of the people at all. But it's in line with all this dark imperium, dark enlightenment, and his aesthetic and regalia is very, you could call it fascist, you could call it dark enlightenment stuff. Weird statues of him, gold statues. I mean,
Hmm.
he put something out of him being like kind of a messianic figure the other day. Let me see if I can
Hmm.
find it, but it's, to me it's very unnerving. Like he is putting those things out into the the ether, into the, it's a mimetic thing, right? He's putting it out like for people to see. Let me see if I can find this.
Yes, and also, I mean, they even have a coin of King Cyrus with his face overlapped over, like, next to it, kind of
Uh,
indicating that he's a reincarnation of the king that saved the Jews or whatever, because he's their Messiah. Now, if you remember, Christianity has a Messiah that comes back or whatever, but it's not the same one as the Judaic Messiah. And they've
no.
somehow gotten people to believe that they're waiting on the same one. And that's not the case. Jesus is supposed to come save you from the one that comes first, and that's not a good one, right? And so that's kind of what's weird to me, is that people have really lost the plot with this concept, if it is real at all.
Here's Trump. He's like a magician invoking something over the earth. And he replied, he retweeted this. And it's
Mhm.
got the Q-tard stuff on there on his left hand too. So it's like
Okay,
this
so did you
propaganda.
notice that on X, where all of a sudden my whole feed 2 days ago was just flooded with this Q stuff?
Yeah, mine
And
too. Yeah.
oh, it was everywhere. I posted probably 5 things about how just ridiculous this is and how crazy you have to be to believe it. And also, I posted, I was like, Trump is a psyop, Elon's a psyop, Sean Ryan's a psyop. Like, all these people are psyops. You guys are crazy that if you think that this is it,
Ryan
anybody's trying to
Glows.
save you.
Ryan Glows. He's an acknowledged ex-military guy who worked for the government. This isn't like rocket science. It's his own admission that he was
Mhm.
like a black ops guy. He said he dealt drugs. Like this is like the guy you don't want to talk with. I mean, I would think, And then he has this guy from the Charlie Kirk assassination on there. I'm like, Duh, of course he did. You know.
Yeah. There's a guy who works at TPUSA who co-wrote Miners with Michael Aquino.
Well, say that one more time.
Yeah, there's a guy. You just reminded me with the Charlie Kirk thing. There is a guy. We're kind of jumping around, but there is a
No,
dude
it's
who
important
works
because it
at
all adds together. Paul
he works
Vallely,
at
maybe.
let me look because
I
he
think it's
works at
Paul Vallely.
TPUSA. Yeah.
I did a show recently with this guy, and we were talking about Brennan, and he had a
Mhm.
blurb on his book from Paul Vallely, and I didn't bring it up to him. I didn't want to make him uncomfortable, but I know Paul Vallely because I've read mine from PSYOP to Mind War like 3 times.
Oh,
So like,
really?
yeah, who was co-wrote it with Aquino, was Vallely. He was around on Fox News and all this stuff. Like, whoa, he's still
Paul
around.
Evalelli. Yeah, that's him.
He worked at TPUSA.
Yeah, and he worked speaks about the military
Wow.
operate he speaks about the military operation of Q.
They let that guy work at frickin' Turning Point?
I think that's him. I'm trying to see. Okay, MAGA
That's
psyops mine where
huge,
Paul
man. I
Vallely
cannot
of
even
turn.
believe that. I didn't know he worked with
Yeah,
Charlie Kirk.
current. Yeah, it's insane.
That's totally insane. His background
Yeah.
is crazy. They let that guy
Okay,
through the
here he is.
gates at Turning Point? No wonder
It's
it got
crazy, and this is
infiltrated. No wonder
this
it
is
got
where the
infiltrated.
exactly. This is where the Islamophobia comes from as well. All this crazy shit that's coming out with the crazy
I
Christian
can't even
nationalists.
believe that. I can't
This
even
Christian
believe
nationalism all stems from Q. It all stems from Mind Wars, Michael Aquino. It's all the same shit we're looking at. That's what I was saying earlier. I mean, it's nuts.
somebody's got to tell Candace. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust her. I think, with the
Wow.
Catholic, because the Catholic situation, there's something about that.
Wow. Paul Vallely, a retired U.S. Major General,
Hmm.
served on Turning Point USA's advisory council. This
Hmm.
affiliation is documented in archived versions of TPUSA's official website from 2016 to 2019. He's, he's explicitly listed among advisory members.
Mm,
Wow.
insane. And so
Wow.
it gets deep, man. I mean, then you look at the Romania situation with her mom, with the children
Wow.
and everything that allegedly are being trafficked. And I don't know if anybody knows, but like
Wow.
we can't get articles here from Canada. I don't know how international news works that well, but I'm pretty sure it could be like that for other countries as well. And so in Romania, we just have to go off of our own news in our own, what we see and what's out, because what's centralized for our country. So Romania, they could be talking about how they're, Erica Kirk's family, has that company that does whatever with the kids. But over here, we find nothing out, right? Because they can just have these laws where you just don't get articles. And there's some deep shit with her whole family. I mean, they're all connected with Raytheon and all these different military industrial complex characters. It's crazy.
I am just mind blown, bro.
I
I
know. And I told
cannot
you that
believe
Kirk's
that
dad yeah, I told you
Lely
Kirk's
worked there.
yeah. No, that's nuts. I
Oh
didn't
my
know much
god.
about him. I didn't know that he
Oh, dude,
fully
he's on like the cover of the book. Like
yeah.
it says written by Michael Aquino and Paul Vallely.
Mhm. That's nuts. They're all
Oh,
connected to each other. I mean, it's actually
I
insane,
can't believe they let him into that freaking organization. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's
Kirk's
just
dad was
change
the
everything.
I
That
mean,
changes everything.
Kirk's dad was the architect for Trump Towers, and they both are a part of like this. They all seem to be a part of something called. Have you heard of the Seven Mountains Mandate?
Yeah, it's NAR.
Yeah.
It's this new apostolic reformation,
Yes.
and it kind of
Yes.
went in there, and it's a very different view of stuff. Like people call it heretical Christianity. I think it's
Right.
it's 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 valid. Like
Do you know who was an NAR pastor?
that guy McCoy, right? Isn't he an R guy?
Well, is that the guy who what about Vance Bolter, the guy who went and killed the Minnesota politicians, the assassin?
Right. Yes, he was
Yeah.
NAR. Yes.
Yeah. And
I
so
am
I kind of
familiar
have
with
this
that.
kind of thing where a lot of these hits that are getting blamed on like, Hillary, like with Jeffrey Epstein or with these guys. I mean, This could be connected to Trump's people. I'm just saying, just tossing that out there. I mean, there's a possibility. It serves to benefit him more than them, I feel like.
Guys, this is the old title of From Psyop to Mind War, The Psychology of Victory.
Oh, there
It's
he is.
not written by Aquino. It's written by Vallely with Aquino.
Whoa.
That's the original title, 1980.
Okay, so he's the guy then.
No, this gets even worse. It's right around the Presidio, like child trafficking, porn stuff, 1980 in Presidio, dude. This is so dark. I cannot even believe it. They let that guy into the effing turning point. What?
Yeah.
I cannot even believe this, man. Wow. Anyway,
that's insane.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to read. I gotta read that sometime.
Bro, this is so dark.
Man,
it's so dark. Anyway,
yeah, they're all connected. I mean, then Erica Kirk, she's got a little brand on her hand that's like the Saturn sigil. The cross over the half moon.
I didn't know
whatever.
that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like just weird shit. Just
well, here's the other thing. This is like this. This is why this like they ignore the occultism, but it's like the key element. That's why they ignore it, because it's what binds these people together. And here's Nick Land. You're talking about sigil. Here's Nick Land. This inspiration, kind of similar to Yarvin. I got this off social media. Nick Land at Riza Nicarastarani, I don't know who that guy is, house conjuring a Babylonian oil demon with sigils. Like this is the stuff. This is what 09A stuff looks like. These like weird sigils, like each demon god of the 21 dark overlords or whatever, they have their own sigil. And so that's how you kind of like contact with this thing. Dude, it is so crazy.
That reminds me of the Enochian. It's just Enochian magic. It's all just rebrands. It's almost like people figure out the same thing in different ways, and kind of give their own little twist on it.
Dude, that Vallely is at TPUSA on their advisory council. I don't think that Candace has talked about that yet.
I'm not sure about that.
This is Dugan. It's ironically Dugan's fellow fascist, the accelerationist, but this is not me. Nonetheless, all too human British philosopher Nick Land, who Dugan calls an open Satanist, who represents the real spirit of globalism, which makes perfect sense. And because they're totally racist, like they're just anti-human demociders. Yeah. Spirit of globalism, the famous Great Reset, as proclaimed by a handful of degenerate and panting old globalist men on the verge of dementia. Like, wow, he's way beyond dementia, bro. Biden's probably already dead. Like Biden himself, the shriveled villain Soros, or the fat burger Schwab, and a marginal, perverted rabble selected to illustrate the lightning quick career opportunities for all non-entities.
Wow. Perverted rabble selected to illustrate. They're saying they were. That's a weird way to kind of word that. Quick career opportunities for all non-entities.
I was looking this because it was Dugan, who's pretty. I mean, he's pretty well informed. Who calls Land an open Satanist. And then there's other people who've taken Land apart. I think that some of his stuff is wow.
Insane.
I am blown away. I had no idea that dude was on there. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so it all does go together with Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land, these guys. I mean, this accelerationist, even possibly the Kirk shit. I mean, it seems to all be involved with the same people.
I wonder if I can find that that her with the tattoo. I wonder if I could find that online. What's her tattoo? Like what's her first name?
So Erica, it wasn't it wasn't a tattoo, but you could look up a scar on her hand, Saturn sigil scar hand, and you should find it. It's a very
Eric Kirk's mysterious Saturn scar on her hand. What the heck is this?
Very
Goes
faint.
Viral.
Yeah,
know what it means. Wow. That's how you say love in sign language, guys. That's not the devil horn. Sorry.
Yeah, come on.
So she has some kind of scar, Saturn glyph. Wow. Roman god. That would make perfect sense.
Right, with Trump being the Paxis Romanus, new golden age. I mean, this all even the fact that he has plus ultra inscribed on Mar-a-Lago, all traces together because if you know what plus ultra is, it's an inversion of the inscription that was on the pillars of Hercules at the Straits of Gibraltar. If you know what that is, that was the entrance to Atlantis. So that's crazy because that traces right to his bloodline where he's got it, plus ultra is on many what would you call them? Family seals, like the seals and everything. They'll have plus ultra at the bottom on the ribbons. All kinds of families everywhere. Spain, Austria, here with him. So it's very much a permeating kind of organization. I think it's very much underlying things that people don't see.
Yeah, it's Latin, right? Plus ultra. So it's ne plus
Yes.
nothing. It stands amongst
Nothing further.
itself. Yeah, nothing
Yes,
further.
and
Right.
nothing further was on the pillars of Hercules. This is the inversion. Plus ultra means go further beyond.
Pillar. I think you mentioned that in one of our earlier talks. Hercules.
Yeah, that's the classic, like Plato's description of getting to Atlantis. That's what, he says you got to go through the pillars of Hercules.
Which kind of makes sense because, like, that's also kind of the symbolic thing of the Twin Towers is that you're going through a portal
Exactly.
to something else.
Exactly. And he's finishing the job. I think, 45th and 47th president for a reason. 9/11.
And there you go.
Finishes
Plato
all that.
placed the legendary island of Atlantis beyond the pillars of Hercules. Renaissance tradition says the pillars bore the warning ne plus ultra or non plus ultra, nothing further beyond, serving as a warning to sailors and navigators to go no further.
And I think when you think about the term accelerationism and then plus ultra, go further beyond. And they're trying to push us into this new Atlantean one world government, essentially, I think is what it is. Because when you look at, I mean, maybe even to the point of like altering DNA and all this weird fallen angel shit, I don't know how true all that is, but that's what you're looking at with Atlantis.
And there
And this
you
techno,
go. Yeah, there you go. That's just like you said, all of these like
yeah,
royal coats of arms all have it. California, Peru, Bolivia, Mexico.
it's
Plus
everywhere.
ultra. There it is. Spanish coat of arms.
Always with the two pillars
Wow.
because they are giving a nod to Atlantis.
All right, we're at the 50-minute mark. You want to go through some of these comments? If anybody has any comments for or questions for Andrew of the 6G podcast, go ahead and put them in the comments. We're going to go through this. I haven't been paying attention. I just cannot believe
Let's
the
do
whole
it.
Vallely stuff. Wow, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Isn't Dugan a Satanist? I don't know. I've heard that he was an occultist. I've heard him online repeating Crowley stuff, so I know he knows Crowley. He's repeated a Crowley poem or something, one of Crowley's things. So I do know that for sure. Let me see if I can get rid of these. Catherine of Aragon, Henry VIII, wife, War One. Hi, Jack. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome. I recall a video of a man spun upside down on a cross with Dugan participating in the show. I think I saw it on Reread the Documents. I think so. I think John Brisson's done a lot of work on Dugan. But I can probably find Dugan reciting Crowley in just a second once I get through this. I think fine. Doesn't Thiel think he's a Catholic? Do you know? Does Thiel think he's a Catholic? Andrew?
No, it's he calls himself an esoteric Christian, and he is close with somebody who's an Opus Dei, which is essentially a fringe kind of controversial sect of Catholicism. So he's adjacent.
Gotcha.
And I think that gets into all the ideologies we've been talking about this whole time is that Opus Dei kind of probably has something to do with it as well.
Charlie Kirk was going to Catholic. Yeah, I think that they both embraced Catholicism. Candace and Charlie. That's my understanding. I don't know. There's that's Oswald Spengler. He's kind of in the line of this alt-right stuff too. Spengler's views and what's Spengler's book? It's about civilizational rise and fall and stuff. Do you know Spengler at all?
I don't. Well, no.
Oswald
Maybe if I
Spengler.
heard the title of a book, I usually
Yeah.
don't know author. I know their titles quicker than a name.
Oswald Spengler. I think he was a German author, but he wrote stuff about Decline of the West. That's kind of his famous book.
Okay. I have heard of that.
Yeah. Rip Rez Dizdar, yeah, Rip Rez Dizdar. I mean, we talked about Palantir. He's talking about total information awareness. Like they had so much information going during the event recently that happened that if you were in the hospital, they could tag who you were and apply remdesivir and breathing apparatus to you. So, like, they didn't need to put you into like Auschwitz, guys. They don't need to.
Yeah.
Have you seen the comparison of Erica Kirk to former Erica Kirk, First Lady of Florida? No, I have not, Zoe. What is it? I don't know what that is. T.L. Lutheran from Nazi South Africa. I don't know that. I think his parents are German.
Nazi South Africa is funny.
Yeah. Enlightened by the Light Bearer. Brent Rogers. I wish they would stop taking us with straight the scariest version of hell on earth. Yeah. Cake in a cup. Once AI gets the government data sets, it will become far smarter and know exactly how to exterminate us. You're right. My opinion, Palantir was used to kill Americans during the last 5 years. What happened last 5 years? I'm doing that because I'm on YouTube. But also, it's being used in Gaza. We know that. So I think Teal has blood on his hands.
Yes.
Magister Templey, interesting name. It'd be awkward for many, if not all of these people, to talk about Christianity, aka Golden Rule, honesty and truth. Wouldn't really mesh. Might come out and say, "I'm going to hell. Please forgive me." Smoke Jaguar. I'm so tired of pathetic losers like Yarvin having a disproportionate level of power, like he does. You know, I don't know if he's written that much. To be honest with you, I don't know if it's really like.
He's not even that. It's odd because he's not super. I mean, I don't know how powerful he is, but he seems to be powerful because people like his ideologies. But he's one of those guys that wants to fly under the radar, so you can't know. There's a mystique there. I mean, he doesn't have a blue check mark. He doesn't, he'll do a New York Times article and then not have a blue check mark. It's kind of weird. I don't know what that is. It seems like he wants to be under the radar a little bit.
David Myatt, alleged founder of the O9A, seems to have just made some strange dark fanfic based on available occult sources like Crowley. I think, yeah, he admitted to being in the OTO for a minute, so he's clearly done his reading and homework. But he's smart enough to create a corpus. I mean, he really was. Jax Delaney, I heard about that 764 trash today. Yeah, it's all over the news there. It's very much involved in the Department of Justice. They are definitely there. Just
Sean
found
Ryan,
the towers on the money. Yes.
Yeah, Sean Ryan was talking to a guy about the 764 stuff, so it is becoming more mainstream as well.
Yeah, I mean yeah, the dollar bills like the 5, 10, 20, 50 supposedly show different version of the towers, which makes perfect sense. Pump up that base. Everyone should act like a deranged child and give Trump doses of his own medicine. Yeah. TPUSA is corrupt AF. It sure seems like it now, man, because I think that Candace has shown all those people just blatantly lying. That's really scary too, because they're supposedly Christians, but like that one kid was a Bobby or whatever, like right after Charlie got hit, like literally within a second, he turned around and started calling on his phone. Like that's not a normal reaction.
No.
Like you at least be 5 seconds of shock. You could just walk back and forth like a chicken with its head cut off. But like, oh, making a phone call, calling right away.
It's done. It's done.
Something. Holy crap! That Agatha, that's crazy. It is crazy. Candace struck one of Dana's rotting jewels videos. Or the other. What do you mean struck? Did she say hi to it or what?
Dana's right. Like hit it. Hit it.
Oh, okay. So that means give it a thumbs up. What do you mean, Tara MJ? Pump up that base. Props to Andrew and William for being fierce investigators, speaking truth. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you like the shows, share them. We have 180 live viewers right now. So thanks for all listening and everything. Personal art of the personal story. Control the narrative. I'm sure the thing in every country. Yes. Candace Owens is lying about who she is and where she came from, just like Kamala Harris. Why? I heard she came out of like a, public housing, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I've read things like she was an actor, model, and then that didn't happen. So then she became like the journalist that she was for a minute, and then that didn't work out. So now I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. It's an odd thing. When you don't know somebody, you can't say too. You know what I mean? But I just look at people's ideologies and what they're saying, and does this add or take away from a movement that I'm, kind of looking at, right? And a lot of times they won't say it with certain nuances that I feel like you should say if you're not trying to push a narrative. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I think so.
we should get rid of the Zionists, but explaining, hey, well, Jews and Zionists aren't all like, there's a lot of Jews that don't like Zionists. Like, some people do certain things like that without giving the nuance, right? And so it just pushes that narrative, more like Jade Shields, right? More of a hardcore, like, blood libel, like only focuses on that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just think
think
that
so.
that's not really going to help us.
I think they can't. I mean, people are allowed to morph. Like some of these people, like
Yes.
Joe Rogan was on. Like, what's that show where you do the double dares or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
what was
Fear
the
factor.
Fear Factor? Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
now he's probably more important and more influential than the entire legacy media as a whole. But somebody's
Yeah.
going to say, well, he was on Fear Factor and made people eat, pork, donkey intestines or whatever. Like,
Right.
this is to me this is kind of like a slur at Candace. Like, who give me
Yeah.
a break? Who cares where she came from? She's doing a like better journalism job, in my opinion, than a lot of other people. Pump up that
Mm-hmm.
bass. Erica's father had deep ties with Palo Verde nuclear plant in Arizona back in the day. Not surprised.
Hmm.
It's Paul Valelli. It's Val Ellie. Of course it is.
Catholic one
What's
way or
that?
another.
I never thought I'd live to see the apocalypse. This is art of the personal story. So I'm sure that was the thing for a long time, but I think we're living in it. Maybe it's a deception. Yes. I have that PDF. I haven't looked at TPS USA funneled so much money into shell companies and invested charity money in the market and in gold. I can't make this crap up.
Hmm.
They were seemed to be laundering money. And they were a cash cow, like 70 or 80 million dollars a year. Like that's a pretty good
Yeah.
size company year after year. That's a decent. I think they
It's
employed a
crazy.
thousand people. Like it's not a joke. You have to read Mind War. You sure do.
Mm.
Is Yarvin the same guy that Isaac Cappy talked about? The name is similar. I don't know. I don't know much about it. Spangler Negarestani is an autodidactic Iranian philosopher and still on the political far left. That was when Land was still a leftist. Well, if
Hmm.
he's an ONA affiliate, he can be whatever he wants because that's the way
Mhm.
they are. Army Intelligence. Yeah, you can just go check out the book. You can just check out the book, guys. Psyop to Mind War, Colonel Paul Evil Valley. I think it's the same guy, man. I think this is misspelled. Could you post a blurb about Duke?
Oh,
And
wow.
let's see. Flag of Spain. Ties. Valelli is on. He's on Fox News a lot, is my understanding. Post a biblical. Hey, biblical men, welcome. Good to see
What
you.
up?
Enjoying the content. 6G, same to you as well. Godspeed. Godspeed to you as well.
Thank you.
1970s, Erica Kirk, Florida, wife of governor. It's very interesting. Look, better see it. Okay, well, I'll take a look.
Hmm.
She struck a video that ties Candace Owens to Epstein Island like once. Oh, interesting. Somebody could post a link to that. I would take a look at it. DJ PR Sohn, William Ramsey, Patreon member here. This gentleman putting out heat forever. Yeah, thanks. Check out my Patreon, guys. I post all my stuff there. You get ad free, and there's stuff on there that is not going to the public. Just leave it at that. But you can talk to me on there. I'm actually pretty responsive. I try to be. Somebody's reposting stuff. I like Joe Rogan too, but I wonder about him thanks to William Ramsey. I didn't hear you guys discuss Yarvin's Cathedral. I think we mentioned it a little bit. Maybe Andrew could go into it again.
Mhm.
Watch Rotting Jewel's latest. She has evidence that Candace Owens' father worked on Sandy Hook. Handy Sook, yeah, well said.
Whoa.
Clean up security. Seriously. Okay, well,
Wow.
that's
That'd be
interesting.
crazy.
Yeah, really crazy. I think those two guys were O9A guys that want to take over Haiti. Wow, that's amazing. If they are really O9A, somebody send me an email about that because that's incredible story. They were going to freaking sack an island off the coast of Haiti. Yeah, she's CIA. Yeah, she puts the CIA concept out. Candace does, Bartow. Anyway, those are all the
Huh.
comments. Thanks for all the comments, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Oh yeah.
Um, is there anything you'd like to add? I mean, I feel like we've kind of
I
covered this. Do you
think,
want to talk about the
yeah, I mean
cathedral? Do you know
the
much about it?
cathedral concept. I think the cathedral concept is kind of important. I think that it is something that we're seeing right now. It's kind of something I've been kind of talking to without really pointing it out this whole time, where from multiple angles you're going to be led to the same place. Where I'll put it this way: self-reinforcing ideological apparatus. So essentially, kind of like the alt-right media, or like this new legacy, like how everybody at once is talking about how legacy media is shit, and everybody agrees with that. And then we get this new media, this alternative media that's kind of been out for a minute, like the Joe Rogans and whatnot. But it's really doing the same thing that legacy media was doing, just with a little bit more truth and a little bit more disclosure. But for the most part, it's not what it was. Like anybody that remembers like kind of alternative media before, it's very different now. It seems to be more mainstream media style. And so universities, all these things, essentially it's the seven mountains mandate: control society through religion, culture, um, all the different ways that society, whatever the foundations are. I can't name all seven off the top, but it's essentially the seven pillars of society: culture, religion, all those things. And so he's saying that the cathedral should be pushing this concept, these ideologies, and what we said in the beginning, changing the attitudes and minds of people to all be in the same kind of ideology or close to it.
Gotcha. Well, this is a 2 hour. Oh, there's the dad. I guess the dad's passed away.
Oh, is that what the Candace Owens and the
Yeah.
cleanup crew
Yes.
situation?
Well, I'll have to listen to this, but I'll put a link to
Yeah.
her thing. Make America Clear Again, the United States of Scientology. Check out her YouTube channel, Rotting Jewels. I have to reach out to her now because I got to find out about Owens. And just, I mean, the Scientology stuff's all over the place. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And Valelli, holy smokes.
Dude, I mean, it's so weird. We talked about what do you think with the whole idea of like Trump's uncle gives over Tesla stuff
Right.
to Jet Propulsion's laboratory, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard do a ritual to create a moon child, manifest a moon child. 3 months later, Trump is born on a blood moon eclipse. What is that? You know what I mean? I mean, it seems like a weird, I don't know. It's just an odd relation with all these things.
I don't know what to think anymore. I think that he knows a lot about the occult and that he
Mm,
doesn't. I don't know about, you don't know it, but the fact that he has tesseracts all over the place and his love
yeah.
of gold and his friends and people who surround him. And he clearly doesn't reference, the Bible or anything like that. So
No,
I think these are all tells that he's like occulted in some way and probably
definitely.
blackmailed. I mean, the fact that he just knows that guy, what's his name? Who was his
The spiritual advi
consigliere. Yeah. What's the
the
guy's name who
spiritual
worked?
advisor?
Yeah, no, but the guy who worked on the communist kind of stuff.
Oh,
See his
shit.
face. Anyway,
Cohen?
yeah, Roy Cohn. Like Roy Cohn
Cohen.
and him are like
Yeah,
close.
Roy
So
Cohen.
like,
Yeah.
and Roy Cohn had this kind of mentality of like deny objective reality. Like, who cares what anybody thinks? Just say and
Mhm.
do what you want. And you see Trump do that same thing.
It
Like, I'll just
manifests itself because your
yeah,
will, thy will be done, right? But it's the idea of like Aleister Crowley,
yeah.
your will. That, or what is it? What's his thing? The
Yeah, but
will
that
of the
will it should be
law
the
is
whole
the
of the law.
yes, yes,
But it's your
exactly.
will over reality. So it's like you're your own God. There's no God but man. And you just
Mhm.
say it and it'll be done. And I think Trump has a lot of those attributes. Have you ever seen Abramovich praise Trump as a
Yes.
magician? Yeah, it's pretty
Yes.
wild.
Yeah, that's Satanism. I mean, that's
Yeah.
100% Satanism. It says, it says that it talks about like the cutting of the right ear,
Uh-huh.
in the Bible somewhere where it says that the one who serves the high priest has his right ear cut. And
Huh.
Trump, MAGA being the
Oh,
fifth,
right, right, right,
satanic, right? but the high priest is above all 5 of them. So the servant to the high priest, MAGA, gets his right ear cut. That was like biblically written, and then they reenacted it, I think. You know what I mean? How weird
It's
is
pretty
that?
wild. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's very strange. Lisa's complimenting you, Andrew. Go check out Andrew's show.
Yeah,
His
come over, hang
logo,
out.
yeah, it's right behind his head. You can
Yep,
see the
6G
6G
agenda.
agenda. There you go. See the whole. Let me see if I can bring that up. There we go. Try it again. Scoot over a little. There you go. That's what you're looking for. 6G
That's
Agenda
it.
podcast. So Lisa, go check it out.
All platforms.
Subscribe, follow him. Running Jules, William Ramsey collab will be monumentally. It's already happened, guys. You can go look through my catalog. I've talked to her like 2 or 3 times. I've slipped and slept and have not reached out to her, but I will try to. I've just been super busy. My personal life's just super, super busy. I've heard him talk about other people being a magician, random people. He likes the Tesseract and he likes the monolith. That golden monolith overlooking the strip in Las Vegas to me is not by mistake. And I'm talking to people about the UN soon, which is also a giant monolith. So the monolith is a cult, a really super occult symbol.
Tied in with CERN too, oddly enough.
It ties in all over the place. It ties into the Santa Fe Institute, ties into 9/11. There's literally the Monolith Hotel. It's actually was the Hilton Hotel is just a giant black monolith. Imagine like if you're a Hilton watching 9/11 from a black monolith. It couldn't be more creepy. Like literally just at the hotel watching the thing go down and people jump like reenacting a freaking scene out of like the Toth Tech, jumping from a tower. Anyway.
Yeah, that Dawn of Man. That goes, 2001 Space Odyssey. That movie right there. Every single frame of that movie is symbolic. It's insane.
Should talk to Danny Katz about Santa Fe Institute. I should. It's very interesting. It's like they have. I can probably pick this up. It's probably another show, but the Santa Fe Institute has its own like monolith, and they're smart. It's attached to Epstein and Maxwell. Maxwell's sister has a connection to Santa Fe Institute. Actually, you talked about the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad was Parsons, Molina, which is a Czech name, and then I think his last name was Foreman. But Molina's son married one of the Maxwell sisters, and they're involved in the Memphis Santa Fe. Yeah, you can write this stuff. And then they have a huge monolith there. Like it's just not even. Let me see if I can find this. Santa Fe Institute. It's somewhere in here. But let me see if I can find it. I said find the media. I found it here before. Education programs. It's big. The Santa Fe Institute's it's a big place.
Yeah, he had ties with MIT and everything. Epstein did MIT and all that.
Yeah, and all that's kind of it's almost like an Esalen, but for New Mexico. Like you can just see all the stuff that they're interested in. But somewhere in here, there is like a full on and all these like forward thinking type people. But somewhere in here, there's like a full on reference to. There's just pictures of them with the monolith. There's like a monolith in the background. Look at how many people are involved in this stuff. Like I don't network with these people at all, but it's wild.
Yeah, it's definitely probably a growing thing too, because it's more mainstream now.
And this is all you know who Ahmadiyar is, right? This is another tech overlord. This is another tech oligarch. Ahmadiyar is the guy who started. What's the one where you can buy and sell stuff online?
Like Shopify?
No, the one where you can like put your like old microphone and sell it to somebody for $5.
Oh yeah, like eBay.
eBay. This guy Ahmadiyar started eBay. He's a billionaire from eBay, so he's probably financing a lot of the stuff.
I talked to this guy, Ben. He's from End of the World News. Shout out Ben. He talked about the guy. I'm gonna butcher it, but it's pretty much the guy who's like creating the computer or doing something with creating something with the computer. And when he would run into like a wall, he would go downstairs, and he had an area where he would dig, and he would dig until the elves came and talked to him. As he said,
"Wow,
So this technology, the creation of this stuff, it gets weird and deep. I mean, it's another realm. I think quantum technology, like the idea of like splitting the atom with the nuclear bomb, the whole conspiracy, like nuclear bombs aren't real. I don't know about that, but I do know that when they split the atom, they did something in the quantum realm for the first time. And if there's anything real in the spiritual, magical, acausal realm, then that's what they're messing with quantum technology.
Wow. Wow.
Gets back into that quantum DJ again from the pyramids of Giza that we talked about with that breaking out the end of Genesis. That's what I think they're pushing for.
Let me see if I can find this. Well, I'll give it one more chance to try to find
That monolith.
the monolith. But yeah, I mean, this is just part of this network. They're little. Like, have you ever heard of Findhorn?
I have not.
It's like in the very north of Scotland, but it's like a nexus point for all this New Age Luciferian stuff, and like people who are into the UN and all this stuff are there.
Mm. Yeah, that CERN ties into all that too. Yeah, the cult of Apollo. It gets into all that same shit.
Here it is. Here it is. So this is literally, if you look here on the left. Oh, well, I got to bring it up. Let's try stopping share screen. This is the Santa Fe Institute. So this is the Santa Fe Edu Culture Monoliths. And you see Monolith Alpha, and they literally are referencing 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then all these other kind of monolithic structures that are all around the world. Wow. But they leave a lot out because there's a lot more than this. But this is literally them at the Institute. Like, come on, open up.
What year was that? What year was that all those monoliths started popping up in America?
I don't know. But they say Monolith Alpha appeared on SFI Santa Fe Institute's Hyde Park campus in the spring of 2018. It was Quark's Electric Charge, 1950. SFI co-founder Murray Gell-Mann. The kanji for beauty, so it's a beautiful item. And the addresses of Bitcoin Genesis block appear below the Gell-Mann equation. Wow. So they're tying it into like Bitcoin. Then joined by Monolith Beta. They're part of Miller Omega program artifacts. Okay.
So so these monoliths 2020 to 2024. So this is like right around the COVID time, which would be, I'm just wondering if there's some manifestation of whatever we're looking at and talking about now, 5-6 years ago, whenever those monoliths just started popping up,
Right. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Crazy.
Looks like the video of Canada is taken down. Well, it still seems to be here. If this is it, it's up right now because I'm looking at it. Unless you did it last night, but this is the one I'm seeing today. Lisa, great to see younger people bring intelligence to the table. We expect to thank you. eBay and now Etsy. Yeah, that's right. So Milmidyar is eBay and Etsy. So he's a tied.
Oh, he's got Etsy too. Oh, shit.
Robert G. Frey wrote a book. His friend dug his backyard. Elves. Do you know that Russia had UFO events over the ICBM? No, I did not know that part.
Okay, yeah. So they heard of that, yeah.
I think I'm done. Is there anything else you'd like to follow up with Yarvin or anything or Lane?
No, I think we covered it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to come on and talk with you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming on. For people who didn't hear promotion about 6G, talk about what else people can find at the 6G podcast and what you have in the future. And you were just on Tinfoil Hat, so people can go listen to that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. We got lots of bangers been coming out on our show, full art, plenty of stuff in the archive to go see. 2 full series, one called Silent Weapons, one called Jesper. We had William Ramsey on one of those episodes. It's all about the global elite satanic pedophile ring in activity now. I mean, my family, they just uncovered another sex trafficking ring with a bunker and 7 people connected. Always familial ties, always families giving over kids. It's crazy. It gets dark, but we get into a lot of other topics. So very fun. 6G Agenda, all platforms. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll put a link to 6G. And today we talked about Curtis Yarvin and the Dark Enlightenment. But it's like you see this Dark Enlightenment, it's connected. There are nodes and tendrils of things creeping around. And Valeli is just off the charts. I cannot even believe that. But keep your eye out, guys. Stay safe. stay away from a lot of this evil philosophy, in my opinion. All right,
Yes,
Andrew,
sir.
thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.